What is going on, everyone? Happy Monday, August 4th, 2025. Summer is rolling along. August usually gives me summer scaries as it ends. Summer, accelerating here. Speaking of accelerating is the stock market. My goodness, total reversal of Friday. I had to reverse just a few things from my note on Friday where large cap growth sold off. The Qs actually sold off Friday to the tune of 2%. And today it rallied to the tune of 2%. It was an exact reversal of Friday. Some other things under the hood too. Utilities hitting new all-time highs today, and gold miners, new 52-week high. I've been preaching this one for at least 8 to 10 months. And this one finally got to new 52-week highs. Gold miners continues to be a great spot to be, even with the S&P less than 2% away from new all-time hizzles or highs in financial media spoken. All right, let's go to the screen share. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Get them out there, man, as summer is continuing. It's gonna end at some point. So eat it up, y'all. Eat it up. Just like the games are here. It's the season for it. So this is the doc. Again, in terms of reversal from Friday, how do we, what is the future? Technology. The best way to usually invest in technology is QQQ. It's the most pretty much free to buy in terms of expense ratio, and it's just very, very cheap to own and keep. And it's the best performing, the GOAT of ETF since inception is the QQQ. And today, growth and the QQQ ran up 2% in the exact reversal of Friday's tape, while volatility and nat gas got hammered, both lower by at least 5%. Vol was down more than that by a touch. And like I said in the open, new all-time highs for utilities and new 52-week highs for gold miners. So quite the program here. Before we do, let us get into the tape and some big stock movers. I usually start off the week rather, with ETF moves, and I do stocks for the show in the middle of the week. And then I go to ETF. I was tempted to open it up with stocks, but there were some big movers. But first, let's start with the index up 1.5%. Tesla up 2%. Still below that 320 mark to me. Stock doesn't look so healthy, but there are catch-up trades all around the land to be had. There are better looking names than Tesla. Qs, as I said, up nearly 2%. An exact reversal from Friday. Nvidia up 3.5%. We're going to highlight some growth ETFs here that led the day, and because they were heavy constituted in names like Nvidia and Meta, which ran Palantir. I'll look at it in a second. Hey, John, we got a question from Gaston. Hey, Gaston, hope you had a great weekend, bro. Can you see Adobe later? Thank you. Yes, I will look at whatever ticket you put in there, and I will take a look. Yes, Adobe coming up at the end, though. That's your teaser. Hopefully you tune in for the rest of the thing. All right, so like I said, Nvidia up 3.5%. Amazon went the other way, down 1.5%. Meta, as I said, a big move today, up 3.5%. Microsoft adding 2%. That's why a lot of these growth ETFs that we're going to look at today, QQQ and another one, they're up multiple percent because you got huge moves from the leaders. These are trillion-dollar companies that we're talking about. Palantir up 4% to now touching 160 threshold. So unbelievable move for that stock. The trends here underlying are still in place. No massive reversals. Palantir is still one of the absolute best stocks in the market, I would say, with Meta and Microsoft and Robinhood and Broadcom. I would say those are the leaders from the heavily traded names. We can keep going. AMD up 3%. Big move. Small caps up 2%. Google up 3%. Robinhood up 6.5%. My goodness. Coinbase up 1% after a bloodbath on Friday. Just Strategy up 6% today. United Healthcare still horrendous. The worst name. Folks still thinking this is bottomed. I'm going to be super late for that one. No interest. It's up 1% today. A lot of people getting burned on United Healthcare, saying that it's at a bottom. I'm going to, wait till at least the third inning of that recovery before, good money after bad in that. Like I said, Broadcom, one of the absolute best stocks in the entire market, up 3%. Congrats if you own that one. Okay, intraday tape, chart time. Let's take a look. So here's the open today. I do want to let you know, below average volume, kind of an August day, but a very bullish day. They really rushed to buy this thing at the open. We went to 625 half, and they took it all the way to 629. And really, you couldn't buy lower than that throughout the day. They bid it up even more at 11:30. You see our VWAP at 629 half by the end of the day, and we closed at 631.80. Very strong. Overbought. Technically, we were for much of the day since 10 a.m. Not super bullish like we were, though, back on the 31st. Here I have us trading below 200 bar moving average, each bar constituting 30 minutes. So not absolute runaway train, maybe some even short-term resistance there at the 633 half level, which is still almost $2 away. As I zoom out here, still I see this market, it's hard to say consolidate, but to me, this zone under, so this was a steal. As we said, we thought that the sell-off on August 1st was a little overdone. It was just 1 2/3%, but we thought the momentum given the market, it was just very hard. It really hasn't come that close to its 50-day moving average, and I just didn't expect it there. We had, again, don't forget, we touched 48 RSI, which was the lowest we've had since late April when this recovery started beginning. So we were saying we were getting some weird vibes. Let's see how the market recovers on Monday. What did the market do today on Monday? An exact recovery. So if you actually look at it, this is SPY on the Qs. This is an exact actual reversal of the candle of what you had on Friday, 2 days off of all-time highs in SPY. So I would say Allah has forgiven. The kid cleaned his room, and I would say take it easy on him. I would say the market here, anything under a 629 is probably a great entry. I personally don't think that happens for a little bit. I think there's going to still be a little bit choppy, and we are going to hug that 629 level. Like I said, give or take 1%. So that's about $6. So you can get to 635 on the high end short term, and to the downside, like I said, about 623. Again, 619, the low on Friday. I thought that was a little overdone. That was still within 1%. So those to me are your levels. I still see us kind of consolidating, going to be somewhat tethered with those floor and ceiling levels, but somewhat tethered to 629, right around there through the end of next week. And then I would fully foresee by the end of August to get to that 6,400 level. We have been talking about that when it comes sometime probably very end of August, maybe early September. I did see just Tom Lee say, from Fundstrat, saw a big rally happening for SPY this month, going to about that 645 level. So the technicals I see pretty much support that too. I think it's just going to take about 3-ish weeks from here. I still see about another week and a half or so of chop, but like I said, somewhat tethered to that 629 area in SPY. Okay, enough of that. So basically, choose your spots carefully. There's so many areas for rotation. We're going to highlight a few of them right here, and this is what they were really massively bidding up today. Today we'll go with the winners first, as we usually do. First ETF here, registering a multiple standard deviation move, is the growth ETF. These are all somewhat similar proxies for QQQ. It depends how you're weighted in NVIDIA and Microsoft and Meta, honestly. So this is different kind of calculus with Mag 7 dispersion, if you will, but that's the way it worked. Today, these guys register a 2.2% move. These guys never had a plunge, or I don't want to say plunge, but it crossed below the 50 RSI from April 23rd like they had. So this one is signaling a better strength than the larger cap like we shared on Friday. Small dip in the stochastic momentum mix. This thing's absolutely still stallion on the treadmill, if you will, for 3 months strong. Ever since it bounced this 200-day moving average, all-time highs for this thing on July 31st at 42.37. This thing looks great. Pick your spots. I would say anywhere under 41.20 is a gift. 60 cents ago. I think you potentially do get a shot at it in the next week and a half. We'll look at Qs in a sec. But I'm sure this will have some speak into your Adobe question, Gaston. But this looks absolutely stupendous chart. I don't really see any exhaustion or anything like that. QUAL registered a multiple standard deviation move. Again, this is very much in the mega cap tech. Like I said, it's all going to be different ways of how to play the Qs. QUAL is literally quality. It's a great ETF. This one had topped a little bit ago, about a week ago or so, to 187, and then it had a dip all the way to 182, and now it bounced back to 185. Again, I think entries in this thing under 185 even are great with a 188 target. It's a little bit of a slower move, this specific ETF, and I do think you're still going to get a chance, like I said, through the end of next week. I think the markets kind of zig and zag while tethered to the levels that we're speaking of. And of course, the big one that everyone follows, QQQ, 2.5 standard deviation move today with an up 1.9% move. Again, all-time highs for the Qs, the best ETF, performing ETF of all time. July 31st, this thing hit this thing hit, and I'm rounding up 575, and it dipped below its 20-day. Usually it does not do that. Mega force power like this, it went under, and now it's back up above it. Similar to what I said for the rest, I think this will have another week and a half or so of chop. I love entries under 560 would be absolutely great. Of course, today it's above that by a touch here, but I think again you'll get opportunities the next week and a half, zig and zag. And again, the RSI low from Friday was 48, the lowest we've seen since late April, coming off of this recovery. So nice to see the bounce back. Again, here's what we were talking about before. If you actually look at the top of this candle to the very bottom of the wick versus today's range, it was an actual replacement of the reversal of the move of Friday, rather an absolute reversal of Friday's tape. So good to see a beautiful bounce back coming off of overbought behavior. Some nice bullish confirmation into, well, actually not on the highs. We did get a bearish confirmation there. It was a 66 RSI on the highs. Can always give way to a quick fallback. That's what I'm highlighting. Last thing on this, when we got to 571 here and QQQ surpassed that, getting to 575, you had to immediately look out for a fall to about that 560 level, and it actually got all the way to 552, and now getting its breath, kind of fat person on the trampoline after starting to oscillate and stabilize after a while. Now we're basing here, like I said, final on this, I really do leave under 560. Great entry. It's going to be a bit back and forth, I believe, but still pretty good flows and cues. I would not doubt this thing the week of its all-time highs. Looks strong. Next target would be right around, again, that's 575 level or new all-time highs into very end of the month or September. Ooh, okay. Sell-offs. What did they sell off today? We always highlight the top three. There was only two today, and one was, an inverse environment. So volatility down 6 and 7% at the end of the day. We highlighted talking about VXX last week, and the reason was we thought it was so. I'll just pull up the chart here on a different screen as well. We thought this was going to have bullishness through basically the end of next week, and as it tries to get towards 48. As it tries to reach towards its 200-day moving average. So if you see here, the low, it was 41 on July 29th. And we said, stay bullish VXX. This thing looks like it's going to make a move towards 48 to 50. I really had I think I had my sets on 48. It got as high as 47 during the sell-off on Friday. And today, wow, they sold it off. When you get mega cap tech getting all that money and attraction, they really sell off volatility. Those puts literally get priced just a little worth less, and folks don't want to insure as you're creeping closer within 2% of all-time highs. So just scoop up any beta that you can. So we get from 47 all the way to 42.70 in 1 day in VXX, down $3 or 6, and now 0.5%. So that was a big move. I still see this one having a little bit of a surge. Like I said, the market's going to zig and zag for the next week. I still see this one making a bit of a move as it tries to get towards about that 47. I don't think it's over. Potential tariff nonsense, a bad corporate earnings that moves an index, due to its heavyweight. I'm not sure what it would be the cause, but I still do think this has a move left in it in the next week and a half as it makes a move towards 47 or so. Again, total environment of the S&P. You always, when I see the S&P, see that get to that 50 RSI and plunge beneath it. Look at VXX. It barely scratched. It got to 51 RSI during the sell-off on Friday, and now right back to a 40. It is a loser. The chart shows that it's a loser, and you want to treat it as a loser. It's been a loser since April 23rd. This has been a totally different environment. If you see VXX, for example, continue to trade above 50 RSI for a week or so, we're in a different regime. We haven't seen that since April. Right now, no stormy skies ahead. Put on your sunglasses, get a pina colada. Things are looking okay. Second thing they sold today were only two things: volatility and natural gas, down 5%. I believe we had let me check my notes on this for natural gas. We put a sell on it at July. I have a thing here on July 21st. We said it's going lower. Let me see here. I have this through my notes. July 21st, and it did go lower. Yikes, a big plunge here, down 4.9%. Do understand the 52-week low is back from November. This was the day after Halloween. So we were putting our masks and candy and down at $12, this thing was, and now it's back at a 12 handle. I think this bottom, it's going to try and base this week. This was quite a big move. So you're going to get some volatility expansion here. It's possible it goes towards 1270 and goes a little bit lower. The low today was 1274. So they picked it up the mat a little bit. But I do think this tries to base somewhere this week. It might get a little bit ugly, Chris, if you're watching. But I do think it finally starts to stabilize this week. I don't think new lows are visited, but look at RSI. I think it's starting to finally stabilize, but you need some inside days first. This thing's just been really marching lower since this July 18th. Ever since 1560, it's really been a sell. Really, like I said, that a whole week. Technically, there are many reasons to sell it. I think it'll stabilize. Looking forward, I do think you have a rally to about that 1430 level, but that'll come probably into early September if you're patient. There's better trades in it than that. Nat gas, not only the second ugliest day of ETF land, we're going to highlight it later as one of the ugliest places to be all week over the past 5 days. Okay, top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. Let's do it. I'm not going to kick a dead horse on this, but volatility is still actually the #1 place to be over the past 5 days on a percent absolute term basis, up 5%. So do with that what you will. To me, room to go higher, but the market will zig and zag first. It's good to see that we're absolute not complacency, at least a little bit bump off the floor right to that RSI level 51 and then back down, puts it in its place. I like that. Here's one that's interesting. So again, volatility through VXX up 5.25% in the past 5 days for an average of 1% or so a day. Today, give back and then some. This is an interesting one, and some folks are talking about, I think more will. Utilities, new all-time highs today. Come on. What more can you say? This one's been making noise. Look at the chart. They've been bidding lining up to bid this one since really when that rotation started in the end of the market in late April. This was really one of the leaders, and I'm talking about spot $77 on this thing. It's now to $87. That's a big move for XLU, $10 more than 10% in just a few months. That utilities don't move like that. Also, keep in mind this has about 2 2/3% dividend yield. So nice payback there if you're into the high income, and they were buying that as well today. You see a lot of high income ETFs performing today. One of the reasons is the outperformance of the utilities. Great flows in this thing since April for sure. Yeah, this one looks like it's. I don't want to chase it. I don't really. I mean, it is a nice bullish confirmation here. The RSI 73, its highest it's had since October, which was previous 52-week highs when it began its nice ramp up. But beautiful looking chart. Scary moments here with the U.S. SPY 52-week lows in April, but really a nice, great chart here. The 200 moving averages support 79.5. A bit of a digestion here at 84. Personally, I do think this is really begun to run, and I don't think you're really going to get a chance at that 84 handle right now. I think people are going to chase this. But to me, the full target near term is 87, so it puts it in a tough spot here. I wouldn't, I don't think you're going to get paid to sell 88 calls or anything like that, and these are probably pretty expensive to buy the 84 calls, but you can check in terms of having a kind of a delta positive thing. But utilities all-time highs. This thing has run. Congrats if you're in it right now. And then this one, we've been preaching this, we've been writing about it, talking about it. GDX, new 52-week high today, the third place to be in the past week of 4%, so just a hair behind utilities. Again, utilities all-time highs. GDX, new 52-week highs. Everything in the market is a roulette wheel right now. Everything's getting a rotation. This thing can move. Nice to finally see the breakout above 54. It's been really above 53, let's call it. It's been trying since April. Nice RSI charting here in terms of trade, largely above 45. Nice movements here. 1 second here. My screen is freezing. We don't want that. So, yeah, I still think GDX, in terms of the zig and the zag of the market, I do think you'll get a potential here. You do not have bullish confirmation here in terms of 70 RSI. So I don't really love the in terms of a clean breakout. I do want to see what happens tomorrow. This trade is high as 55.05 today, and they closed it pretty high at 54.80, 4.8%. Again, they've been bidding it for a couple of days now over the 51.5 level. That was your gift. To me, fully targeted is about $56, so it does have room to go, in my opinion. Short term, this thing can move when it does. But in terms of entries, I would like you really back here at 52.5. Potentially, you do get it in the next week and a half. Be careful choosing your spots. As you know, I have a position in GDX, and it has been a great place to be. Glad to see it finally breaking out to new 52-week highs. Top three losers of the past 5 days. They've been really hammering our the old boy BITO. BITO down 8.25% over the past 5 days. It's been hammered here. Obviously, a lot of it was in this big move down here on the first, down 8.5%. This is a kind of a sloppy ETF because it has a crazy dividend and all that. So IBIT is what I really, really look at. But I do look at to see how this trades. This, to me, will base right around 20. I said that before when we highlight it. Right around 20.5 will be a floor on this, maybe with a little bit of give. But I'm not super shocked to see today's 1.5% bounce. I do think this will make a move towards that, at least 200-day moving average at 21.75, implying $1 or whatever that is, 6% move or so on this thing, 5% or so. Okay. Next loser. So BITO down 8.25%. The next one was ARKG. I didn't actually have to change these items. The numbers barely changed, but in terms of the losers, they didn't wake up Monday morning and say, oh, let me get into Bitcoin or BITO rather, and let me get into Genomics and let me get into nat gas. The name stayed exactly the same. So they're still in the doghouse. So this is ARK Genomics, Kathy Wood's biotech fund. I still see this I think it's going to base this week right around 23. Where my cursor is, so maybe some more give and takes there. Again, the 200-day moving average is where it is right here, so kind of precarious, crazy. Look at the coil on it too; it's pretty tight. Like, this is going to make a move. The 200-day is sliding lower. I had been bullish on biotech, thinking it's going to run two minds here. I think it's going to base here around 23, where my cursor is, and I think it's going to do that this week. And then I think it's going to probably have a 2-ish week messy rally to about 25. So, and then more zigs and zags from there. So tactically, biotech for the next 2 weeks, I think can be a nice, place to be in, potentially messy, slightly quote messy environment. But this potentially more to come later in terms of a bigger move in biotech. So bullish, 2 weeks. But overall more messiness battling with its 200-day moving average where it currently sits today. So not much resolve there. Needs a little bit more time. But once it stabilizes, if you have the the visualization of the chart with sentiment, the 200-day flat lines, we're trading at the 200-day, it's flatlining. The highs are a little bit closer to where we were in terms of spot, and the market's a roulette wheel where everything's getting rotation. You don't want to be super bearish in terms of biotech, in my opinion. So that's enough of that. Lastly, not going to beat a dead horse on it. Third worst place to be all week. It was BITO, ARKG, and then right behind it was nat gas through UNG down 4.9 down 5.5%. You've seen this thing from the past 5 days, lower, and lower. Even the volume starting to dry up on it. Had a 14 handle just last week, and now a 12-1 inside of 3 cents, but still, as I said in the previous one, chart when we looked at this, I think it's going to base right around here, very close to about 1270. And then you're going to get a messy rally to about 1430. Ugly chart, though. Again, old support is becoming resistance. So this old, won't touch level of 1630 started getting bucked lower here. And then the floor used to be 1530. And now that was more or less the ceiling in July. And now I fear the new ceiling may be that 1430, and this thing starts to bleed out. So that's, we'll see what the heaviness of the 200-day moving average shows to be in coming days and weeks. Okay, top 3 trades of the past 5 days. If you've been short BITO, ARKG, and UNG, you are absolutely hands down crushing the market. They are the 3 best trades in the entire market class. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in and asking the question. You asked for Adobe Systems. Can you put in, if you can, whatever your view and how you're playing it? I'm guessing you're just long. Well, you're rather short stock. So this thing looks like junk. I'm assuming you're short. Yikes. Ugly, ugly trash. They report, I believe, when do these guys report earnings? September 12th or so. So that's not right here. So to me, a couple things. So I think that was as good as it got right here. This week it had along its 20-day moving average. Nice. That was probably as good as it was going to get for a little bit here at 370. And wow, quickly to 340. The 52-week low on this is 332. It got very close today. within $6. It is oversold for the second day. This has not been a good name. This was kind of like an accident here now in May when this was overbought. It really does seem like it's a flavor against. All that being said, to me, fully valued to the downside. I really don't think they absolutely slaughter it. So I don't really, love selling it below 345, to be honest. And considering what I'm saying, with zigs and zags of the market, I don't think they're going to make a, kindly for this one. So really, really a messy chart. I think it's more bearish momentum than positive over the next couple of weeks, but kind of with a floor of where I'll say a 330 floor, but to me, that is kind of as low as it goes. I really don't think it's going to get that low. And I do think it kind of wants to eventually get back toward 365. That's going to be really, really hard work. So if you could put a time frame or something, I'm guessing, are you just short shares or something gets on? But like I said, so I think this has a more downside for it over the next 2 weeks, but a ceiling of 365 on any kind of bounce. I don't foresee it happening soon. And to the downside, I do think you're looking at, I think it should live inside a 52-week low. I really don't see it going south of 332, although there's been a line to get out of this piece of junk for 4 days now. So don't love that. And sometimes people sell and ask questions later. So maybe what's a couple of dollars difference? So that's the call. Messy. There's many better places than this. Obviously, when we're looking at growth ETFs making all-time highs. That's my call on Adobe. Thanks for the user talkie. And we'll try to see you either tomorrow, single stocks, or Wednesday. Bye-bye.